it's Kim with Kim Dixon Creative. I'm so happy that you decided to stop by my channel today. If you're new here, welcome. Please take a few moments to subscribe to my channel, share my videos, give it a thumbs up. If you're not new here, thanks for coming back. Today I am in a collab with two of my friends, Bug and Susan. Both of them are also on May's design team. And we make up a little group that we're calling #3Crafters. And today our hashtag is 3Crafters Remember. As you all know, 20 years ago was 9/11, when our world was changed more than in our lifetime, at least. I'm sure that those who've gone through World War II feel like that particular time was just as impactful on our country. But this is something that our children were impacted by, and we were impacted by. And we just wanted to commemorate the event with some cards. I am making a slimline card using some digital stamps that I purchased off of Etsy. And also there's going to be a light feature on my card. So what I'm doing now is I'm showing you where I'm downloading my images. I purchased two separate sets of images from two separate sellers on Etsy. And I'm downloading them and I'm saving them onto my computer in the folders that I have set up for my digital stamps. And you would just save them onto your computer however you choose to do that. I have a folder for digis that is separated by whether or not it's a digital stamp or digital paper. Some of them I have separated by designer, like TLC Designs. And so that's what I'm doing here. I just am saving these under the name of the images, the distressed flag and the kneeling firefighter. And what I will end up doing is pulling these over into my silhouette design, my silhouette studio to get the images ready to print. This is a very somber card. It's to commemorate a very somber event. I still remember 20 years later where I was and what I was doing, and even down to what I was wearing that day. My oldest son was a senior in high school, and the weirdest thing about all of it was that he was participating in a state emergency management association. We call it the Alabama State EMA. They were doing a mock drill for a disaster that would happen in front of their school. And so he was in an ambulance on the way to the hospital as a fake patient. So I just remember thinking that, I knew that what he was doing was fake, but I also knew that I just wanted to be home with my babies. Even though he was a senior in high school, he was still my baby. My little girl was in 7th grade at the time, and so I just wanted to be home with them. So when I get into my silhouette design, or my silhouette studio, I'm just going to make a rectangle the size of my card base or my card front so that I can see how big I want my images to be. So I'm just making a rectangle that is roughly 3.5 by 8.5. And, different people make slimline cards different sizes. So whatever size card, you may even be doing an A2 card. Make it the size of your card front. So I'm just going to open up, excuse me, the image. I'm going to do the distressed flag image first because that's going to be my largest image, and get it sized like I want it. I'm trying to leave this portion, and I apologize, the video is going to be kind of long because there's two sections that I'm trying to keep real time. I don't want to rush through this, and I don't want to rush through adding the lights to the video, to the card. So I just resized the distressed flag image so that it would fit within my slimline card rectangle there. We'll end up deleting that rectangle, but right now I want it there so I can see how big I want my images. Now I'm going to open up the kneeling firefighter, and I think I just want the regular kneeling firefighter, although I do like that one that has the cross on it. But I just want to open that up and get it sized for the front of my card. Comes in a little bit big, but that's okay. It's very easily resized. Just grab those corner handles there and drag it down to as small as you want it. Once I get it there, I realize that's a little bit too small, so I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger. And I don't have to position the firefighter exactly where I want it right now, because what I'm going to do is print them out separately. The firefighter I will end up printing and fussy cutting after I foil it. So I'm going to delete that rectangle, and I can pull my flag over a little bit so that when it prints, I'm trying my best to get it to print as close to the edge of a slimline card front as I can. I don't really get there, but it's okay. We make it work. And I'm just going to send it to my printer, and my particular printer, I'm putting my cardstock in what we call tray 1, or the multi-purpose tray. And you see I've printed it out in black toner so that I can foil it. I've already turned on my laminating machine. It's been on for a long time. I don't have a Mink machine, so it's just a cheap Amazon Basics laminator, and I've learned that the key to good foiling with toner is, first of all, your printer. You have to have a good laser printer. I had a cheaper Brother machine that just didn't do well, and I thought I just didn't know how to foil. And then I tried it again later on with this new printer that I have for my work, and it works much better. And the other key is to have your laminator as absolutely hot as you can get it. So I've got a little sandwich here. I want to make sure I have plenty of pressure. So I sandwich my printed cardstock in that piece of printer paper with a piece of cardstock in it to give it a little more thickness. And I do run it through my laminator twice. And I did laminate, or I foiled the firefighter in kind of a gunmetal gray foil. So now I'm going to attempt to foil this flag with the blue where the stars, obviously where the blue and the stars go, and then the red where the stripes would be. And my little piece of foil isn't quite big enough, so I'm going to have to kind of piece that because I want to do it all in one pass. And this is a distressed print, so it's not going to foil perfectly because it's not supposed to. It's a distressed look. And I think you saw that top corner there is of the stripes are actually the World Trade Centers, the Twin Towers there. And I think the foiling looks really good. So now I'm just going to fussy cut out my firefighter. I could have done a print and cut, but this really is an easy image, and sometimes it's just as easy for me to use scissors. I'm going to go around the fussy cut image with my Memento black marker, and then I'm going to pop up my firefighter on foam tape because it's my card. And even this card had to have foam tape. And boy, when we get done, when you see how much foam tape I used on this card. So just getting the backers peeled off of all of that foam tape to get my firefighter stuck down in front of my flag. Just going to get him put down right toward the bottom and in the center of my card front. Now what I've done is I've taken my craft pick and poked 2 holes in the front of my card. I'm getting ready to do the light feature. And I've cut a backing card that's exactly the same size as the front, my card front. And I'm marking now where I want my 2 lights to be. I poked a hole in the front of my card, put it on top of my backer, took my pen and just marked through the hole where the light would be. And this is the first time I've used these lights, and so it was a little bit of a learning experience for me, and I've tried to leave in some of the mistakes that I made so you can see. And here's one of them. So you need a little folded piece of cardstock that's going to make contact with your battery. And I have it folding from left to right. Only to realize here in just a minute that I don't need it to fold left to right. I don't need it folding off the card. Excuse me. So I peel it up and re-stick it down to where it's folding from top to bottom. Because what we're going to do is we're going to trace our path for our copper tape, and the negative side is going to need to end up on the top of our folded piece of paper. I used cardstock. Some people just use regular paper, regular printer paper, but I did use cardstock. I wanted it to be substantial and hold what I needed it. So now I'm just sketching out where I want my negative copper tape to go. And you want to go the straightest path possible. The less bends you have, the better, because you don't want to tear your copper tape. You also don't want your copper tape to cross over each other. Now, the copper tape is easy to turn corners on because it's a metallic tape, so you can just fold it. It doesn't matter if it has wrinkles in it. You just don't want it to tear, because if it tears, it won't make a good connection. So at every corner, you just kind of bend it and tuck it, fold it, however you need to do it to get it to make that corner. So your negative piece of copper tape is going to trace a path to the top of your piece of cardstock, your little 2-inch piece of cardstock. Your positive is going to trace a path down to the piece of cardstock that's stuck down onto your card. And then when we put our lights on, there's a definite negative and positive side to your lights, and I'll show you that when we get to that point. I found this easier than I expected. I did watch a couple of videos. These are made just like the Chibitronic light sets that everyone used a few years ago. I did get these at Michael's. I was surprised to find these at Michael's, but they worked. They worked very well. I watched a video from scrapbook.com to see how the how they did it, and that made it very easy for me to understand. I am no electrician. I don't understand circuits. So, this is not something for, only really smart science teachers and engineers. So, now that I've got my tape down, I'm going to burnish it down to my cardstock very, very well. You want it to be as flat as possible. Even though you've got wrinkles in it and whatever, you still want to burnish it to where you've got as much touching that card as you can. So now I'm going to get my lights and get those ready to stick down. Actually, no, I'm going to stick my battery down. I'm going to put a piece of double-sided tape on the positive side of my battery, and I'm going to stick it down to the part of the 2-inch by 1-inch cardstock that I cut that's actually glued down to my cardstock. And you want to make sure that it's not touching your negative side for your copper tape either. You only want it to touch when you actually press down. So I've got that situated like I want it. Now it's time to pull out my lights. Now the little lights are they're just stickers, and they are in the shape of a triangle. And you want to make sure that the negative side of your lights is touching your negative copper line, and your positive is touching your positive copper line. Excuse me, I am struggling still with this cold. And now that I've got them down there, you can see that one worked really well. But the the one on the right didn't work as well. So I made sure that it was making good connection with the tape, and that helped a lot. So I'm just going to kind of dry fit it and make sure that the lights are where I want them to be, and that everything lights up like I want it. And I placed the lights at the base of the towers on the card. And my thought was, that represents the lights that are there now in place of the towers. So once you get your circuits like you want them, and your lights are working like you want them, you've got to add some foam tape. You've got to add enough foam tape that you have to press to make connection once the card is put together. And everything I had read said to use 2 layers of foam tape. That did not work for me. That was not enough. I had to actually put 3 layers of foam tape. So this is quite a thick card. Had I known that in the beginning, I probably would not have popped up my firefighter. So now I'm going to cut my card base. It is a black card base that is cut to 7 inches by 8.5 inches. I'm going to score it along the 7-inch side at 3.5 inches. Going to fold it. Yes, I'm going to fold it along that score line and burnish it with my Ergo bone folder from Dress My Craft. And I'm just going to place my card front on the front of my card base with some glue. And I realized after I stick this down that I forgot to do something really important. That would have been a lot easier to have done before I glued my everything together. So I'm going to take my May Action stamp and attempt to stamp the word push over beside where beside the firefighter, where you would actually push to make the lights light up. It came out okay. It smeared a little bit, but considering I did it after I had everything to put together, I think it turned out okay. And you see the lights work. I turned the lights off in my studio so that you could see the lights work. So I've also printed off a sentiment from TLC Designs and to go on the inside of my card, and I printed it on white. I'm going to cut that panel down to 3 1/4 by 8 1/4. And glue that on the inside of our card. Truth be known, I probably will not give this card to anyone. It means something to me, and I probably will keep this. I probably will not give it to anyone. And so that's our card for today. Thanks again for joining me today. I'm very thankful for each and every one of you. I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful that on that day 20 years ago, I was able to come home and be with my children. I'm thankful for the men and women who knowingly ran into those buildings to try to save people, knowing that they may not come out, and they didn't. And I'm thankful to their families for sacrificing for us. I'm thankful for the men and women in our armed forces that were activated that day. I'm thankful for a cousin who was actually in the Pentagon that day, but just happened to be on the other side of the Pentagon and was able to walk away and have his life. And I'm thankful to all of the families who sacrifice every day, police officers, firefighters, first responders, the military, for giving up a lot of their freedom so that we can have freedom. Thank you.